I'm sitting here watching. Um, I'm sitting here watching Don Lemon or whatever. Um, and then I didn't know. I didn't know if the freedom of press was with the First Amendment or what it was, but it is in there. The freedom of press is in there. And when I look at the shit, he really didn't do nothing outside. Like, and then I've been looking. Two other judges said it was no evidence found that he wasn't acting as a journalist. And if y'all see the video, y'all, like, if you see the video, um if you see the live that he did, he said, I'm reporting live. Man, you know, when they start doing stuff like this, what this lady that just came on this Don Lemon show that just got done talking, she an activist. That she was talking that talk, man. She did a good job. But when they start doing stuff like this, like in your face type shit with people you know, um, your freedom of speech is at risk. Like, that mean whatever we don't like that your ass is saying, hey Daniel, whatever we don't like that you saying, we can lock your ass up for it. This is an example. And there's nothing you can do about it, right? Okay, cool. I got that part. So I was looking. The DOJ is set to release 2 million files of the Epstein file, 2 million more documents of the Epstein files today. The DOJ is. That's crazy. Listen, she just said distraction. And getting our attention here versus to me, there. That's confirmation. That when you target Black journalists and when you target Black activists, that's going to be a little bit less of an attention economy grab, as opposed to when you murder Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse who was protecting another woman from the abuses of ICE agents. And so they're strategic in this way. But all of it, everything that we're seeing is deliberate strategy and it's policy being implemented. And I think it's very important that people understand how this is all policy. And policy can change. I don't think that they're going to want to change it. Right. But policy can change. And so that's where, to spread everything we've been saying throughout the show, that's where we have to be more forceful about our local and state policy. Right. And I want to see all these. I've been telling y'all that. Don't tread on. What happened to all the don't tread on me people? What happened to all limited guns? I've been telling y'all that the local and state elections are way more important than the presidential election, because really they got checks and balances in place for a Donald Trump. You know, they have checks and balances in place for him, but over time, different people have been put in place. People ain't been voting in local and state elections, and now you have a Republican ran system that's following one person. Hold on, let me listen, y'all. Go out there and expose them. They're attacking the press because they don't want the press to be able to expose them. Now they're attacking independent journalists. They're attacking law firms. They're attacking any sort of guardrails. And this is just an extension of that. So now they're asking us to believe the same administration that called Alex Preddy an assassin, a domestic terrorist. Same thing with Renee Nicole Good. This administration wants us to believe their narrative on this when multiple judges, when a magistrate judge, Glenn Kirshner, you'll know way more about this than me, but he rejected even bringing this. Then an appeals court, I think it was the 8th Circuit, rejected even bringing this. Multiple times, they said there is not sufficient evidence of any crime being committed. At the same time, I mean, the First Amendment does say that journalists are able to observe, are able to film, are able to interview, document, and report. Yeah, now, if journalist begins to coordinate or go over and commit crimes, and that's different, but that's not what happened. We have all of the video footage on camera. Right. They were interviewing, they were filming, they were observing. And of course, Don Lemon isn't the only one being unfairly targeted here. So we need to just point out that democracy is important and Trump hates democracy. That's all this is.
Glenn, I now see this as a hat trick of vindictive prosecutions brought by Donald Trump's dirty DOJ leadership. And I say that with no satisfaction. DOJ was my professional home for decades, and I can't believe it has fallen so far, so fast. Listen, this, based on everything we know, and we don't quite know what the charges will be. I suspect it will be an indictment because, as Adam mentioned, it was a magistrate judge who refused to sign off on the criminal complaint. I believe Judge Schiltz was also involved at some point, and a court of appeals refused to intervene. Why? Because now multiple judges assessed what DOJ was trying to do, bringing these charges against Don, and the judges said, you don't even have probable cause,
right?
Which is somewhere between 42 and 44% of the evidence tending to show a crime was committed. Never mind building that case to proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which I would put at about 95 or 96% of the incriminating evidence. Not that any precedent or any court has ever been willing to put a fraction or a number on.
See, this is my thing. When they already breaking laws in your face when it comes to the immigration process, when it to people not getting they due process on, getting deported, people getting beat up in the streets. They already breaking your American citizen right and already here. Even immigrants have rights here. So they already breaking laws. Now they done arrested Don Lemon, a black man, a black journalist, for nothing. Only doing his job. Y'all, at first, when I first seen it, I had to wake up. You know what I mean? I had to wake up. I had brushed my teeth and stuff after, and then I got off of here after I talked to y'all for a while because of what I already had. But as I look and listen and look up things and refresh my mind on some things, it's like they really just arrested him for nothing. Really, they arrested him to distract him because as a distraction, because no judge should have signed off on nothing arresting him. They already just said it went to 2 judges in a circuit court that said no. They said no. It ain't no evidence that he was there this like as a protester. And Nicki Minaj need to sit her on the she need to sit her wide back ass down, bitch, and take her what she got going on. Because she the one got online and started saying he was the devil and shit like that for what he did storming up in there. It wasn't him, bitch. I'm so mad. I fuck with Don Lemon, man. He is like, he be in the streets with it. He be in the streets with it. He don't went from CNN anchor to that nigga just really be on the streets, stemming people, talking to people, getting public reaction to what's going on. So to see him get arrested, so I said he was at home, but really he was in LA at a hotel preparing to be report on the Grammys. Y'all know it's February coming. They try to distract Black History Month with so much shit. It's the Grammys, the Super Bowl, Valentine's Day. They distract us from celebrating Black History Month. But that's another thing. But he was there for the Grammys, getting ready to report on the Grammys. And they come like KKK members with masks on and arrest him at his hotel last night. That's so fucked up. But by them 2 things being tied up in the First Amendment, right? I mean, in the First Amendment. Hold on. What's wrong, Disney?
Okay, so, hey, Wolf. The First Amendment says freedom of speech, freedom of press. So those two things are intertwined with each other. And when they start, thank you for stopping by, Wolf. I really appreciate it. Woo. But the First Amendment protects your freedom of speech, freedom of press. So when they start arresting people for freedom of speech, for freedom of press, don't you think your freedom of speech is jeopardized? Like that lady said, this is how Putin, Russia run their country. This ain't how America. This ain't what America was built on. Arresting people for recording shit in the streets. Me, you could probably say, "Oh yeah, Toya was a protester in that church," but him, he been a journalist for 30 years, y'all. He been in the trenches doing the real work. Hold on, let me see what they saying.
More important, the framers of the Constitution knew that a free press was essential to a democracy. Without a free press, you don't have a democracy. And it's real clear that Donald Trump and company doesn't want a free press. The idea that a journalist, which Don Lemon has been for 30 years, would walk into a church and film a demonstration which is of national interest, and then to say somehow, when you watch the video, they say he's part of the protest. Watch that video. He is covering the protest. He is covering it. That's what journalists do. I covered riots. I was a local reporter in Los Angeles for 15 years, and I covered riots and floods and earthquakes and all sorts of things where I had to step into areas where there were police, where there was activity, private property. When you're covering an event like this, like a protest, which I've covered many, you step into it. And that's what journalists do. And that's what Don Lemon did. The idea that the Justice Department is saying he walked onto private property, that is insane. A church invites everybody in. Have you ever seen a church with a no trespassing sign saying no journalists allowed? Have you ever seen any house of worship that says that? It is insane that they're making this stupid argument transparent. And yet, a grand jury indicted Don Lemon after a magistrate said there's insufficient evidence. Well, a grand jury will indict anybody because Don Lemon doesn't appear before the grand jury. Abby Lowell, his lawyer, doesn't appear before the grand jury. The Justice Department says what the Justice Department wants the grand jury to believe, and almost every time they believe it. It's all the way it's skewed. This is a ridiculous assault. And I don't want to say just on the First Amendment. It's a ridiculous assault on democracy.
Right.
Trump administration should be ashamed of itself, but they're not. And they will continue to do this. And they are going after journalists. They're getting search warrants for their homes. It is obvious what's happening in this country, people. Look at what is happening.
Look at what y'all did, bitches.
In 2 years, if somebody doesn't stand up to them, and I know people are now, but you're going to look back in 2 years and say, wow, we didn't see that coming. Well, Neville Chamberlain should have saw it coming, and he didn't. And we don't want to be in that position. So wise up, everybody, because it's obvious what's happening here. This is an outrage.
Oh, you're muted, but I can't hear you. But
I was coming to you anyway.
You're just testing us to see if we... Yeah, so unfortunately, I have to go in a few minutes, but one final thing that I want to say is that it's just important to pay attention to the sleight of hand that this administration is pulling. So Judge Schultz out of Minnesota said that ICE has violated, the DHS has violated 96 court orders. And then he said, ICE has likely violated more court orders in January of 2026 than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence. This was a Bush-appointed judge saying this. So this administration wants to pull the sleight of hand where they want to direct your attention over to Don Lemon being a journalist exercising his First Amendment right. While the word distraction kind of applies because this is very, very important, but I feel like there's a sleight of hand here where they're trying to pull your attention away from the fact that ICE is quite literally violating a massive amount of court orders and they're not upholding the law whatsoever.
Exactly. And the fact that the damn Epstein files get released today too. Like, it's always a mess. Like, it's always chaos. Something chaotic is happening. Last time we bombed the fuck out of Venezuela for nothing. You know what I mean? It's always something. They arrested this man for nothing. Why? It's a distraction from all this other shit.
Please like, please subscribe. Please, hey, go get some Don Lemon merch if you're looking for ways you can support. Reese, the thing that Adam just said, and Glenn, you can weigh in on this too, because we, in the legal circles, we would talk about red herrings, but I often describe this administration and their tactics where it's like shiny object over here so you don't see what's right here in front of your face. I mean, they do it over and over and over again. And that doesn't mean that what they choose to highlight isn't also important. Mm-hmm. It just means you can count on there being something way more nefarious that's going on someplace else. Oh, and I'm sorry, we want to onboard Jay Jordan before you comment, Reese. Okay. Y'all can tell I'm a guest host, right? We're onboarding Jay, comedian and friend of the show. Reese, taking it to you.
Well, I just want to say that this administration clearly multitasks and they're relentless about everything but upholding the law. But, you know, Sheree on Real Housewives said it. Who gonna check me, boo? Okay. So they violated 96 plus court orders over here. They violated in Chicago. Who gonna check them? Okay, so now what? Okay, they violated it. Right. What you gonna do? Right. Do judges, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have a law degree. Do judges not have the authority?
That's what I be saying. Like, everybody be like, oh, he doing this. Like, that's why I don't trust Hakeem Jeffries. You smart enough to tell us everything that's wrong with what they doing and da-da-da-da this. You see these motherfuckers is not playing by the rules. Why are y'all so... Okay, well, they just did it. You talking with your hands trying to get me to see that you important with your motherfucking hands, but you ain't important when it comes to standing on business and getting unruly with these motherfuckers because they don't give a fuck what y'all talking about. To me, they be playing it safe too much. Anyway, let's go back to Lucy.
Violate rulings from judges, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
And no, and
you asking me, the legal expert?
Because I'm sitting as host. No, you're not going to be the legal expert today when we have Glenn Kirshner, but we're going to come to you for these jokes.
They be like, this judge said no, this judge said no. Well, why is another judge saying yes if everybody's saying no? Like, it don't make sense. This shit don't make sense. Everybody can see what's happening is wrong. Everybody took an oath under the same constitution, but somebody is letting shit slip through the cracks like this. And once it's a crack and somebody slipped through, that shit just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you got a whole heap load of bullshit.
Of 100 court orders and I think 76 or 79 cases. And he actually said that's probably more than some agencies have violated in their entire existence. I expected the next thing to be, therefore, I am ordering DHS to show cause why they shouldn't be held in contempt. And we need to move past civil contempt and get right to criminal contempt. Right. But I will tell you, I was a federal prosecutor for 30 years. Courts are extraordinarily reluctant to the point of timidity of holding folk in contempt, particularly the federal government, which, as far as I'm concerned, this DOJ and its dirty leadership has lost the right to have the presumption of regularity applied to them. There should be a presumption of nefariousness at this point. And I don't say that just cavalierly or as a throwaway line. I believe they should have a presumption of nefariousness applied to them, and we need to get our contempt on, because it's not enough to just say, y'all are violating a shit ton of court orders, you know. You got to hold them accountable, or they will continue to violate court orders. But one other thing I wanted to throw out there, and I think a few months ago I was talking with Don on his show about this very thing before the first vindictive prosecutions were brought against James Comey and Letitia James. I have been saying probably for
the reason
years
why
now
that church
Donald Trump has forever been threatening to prosecute.
The reason why that church was the target of a protest is because that dude is like, the pastor of that church is field operator for ICE. The pastor of the church was, and ICE had just unalived Renee Good. So this black lady activist found out that the ICE agent, well, one of the stop calling my phone. But the ICE agent, that the field operator was the pastor of this church. And I think it was allegedly Renee Good went to that church or something. I don't know if that part is true, but that's what they were saying on the curb, y'all. Word on the curb is that was her church. So the black woman was like, yeah. So it wasn't just any church. He was the pastor, and he's a field operator for ICE. So they wanted to run up in the church and cause a disturbance because they protesting ICE. So that's what it was. Don Lemon interviewed that lady and interviewed the pastor. He said, I'm coming as a journalist. So he didn't break no laws. He did what he's been doing for 30 years. If you've been doing something for 30 years, I think you know the ins and the ins and outs of the game. But let's listen.
His perceived enemies. You got Hillary Clinton as the OG of Donald Trump's wrath. Lock her up, lock her up, lock her up. 10 years ago, he was saying that. And he went running his big fat orange mouth for 10 years, threatening his perceived enemies with jail, but he never did it. It took him 10 years to finally charge somebody. But before he did, I was saying, I don't wish a vindictive prosecution on anybody. I don't want people to have to drain their bank accounts to get defense lawyers just to get their cases thrown out because they're bullshit cases. However, I almost look forward to the first vindictive prosecution he tries to bring, because the federal judiciary will cram it down DOJ's throat, figuratively speaking, and they did in the Letitia James case, in the James Comey case, and they're going to do it. I suspect, we have to see what the indictment looks like, but they're going to do it in Don's case as well. And what that does is it exposes Donald Trump for the paper tiger he is. He's weak, he's flaccid, he can threaten prosecution, but he can't follow through. He can't make good on that threat. He can make your life real unpleasant and uncomfortable for a couple of months while you're kicking the crap out of these hapless DOJ lawyers in court and getting your case dismissed. But it makes him weaker, not stronger, because he can't follow through on his threats.
Agreed. Jay, I want to come to you first. I want to bring onto the stage of the Don Lemon Show the Charles Blow. Charles, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I know you have a limited amount of time. I just want to hear some introductory comments quickly from Jay, and then we'll come back to you. But Jay, what are your thoughts before we hear from Charles?
Well, I'm currently in New Orleans, so the city of New Orleans is with Don. I know a lot of people here have already posted about it. I'm doing shows here, just coincidentally, I guess, in a very serendipitous kind of way. This is connected to stand-up comedy. Nick Shirley was a YouTuber posing as a journalist. Now we have real journalists getting arrested. You have all these comedians, Andrew Schultz, Tim Dillon, Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, who pose as journalists. And now we have actual journalists who should be protected by the First Amendment being arrested for covering a protest. It's all connected. That's the first thing. This is all connected to content culture. It's all connected to the death of expertise. Everyone thinks they can do what journalists do. Everyone thinks they have the amount of knowledge and the amount of resources and the amount of experience that people like Don have honed over years. That's the first thing. The second thing is they have continued to play their hand. We shouldn't have known that this was coming. But Don said they're going to keep coming after him. All of the people who are aware of this from the jump kind of knew this was going to keep coming.
It's happening live. I'm watching it and
the American
y'all
public
listen.
enough time to go, wait a second.
I thought since I'm listening to this, I might as well share. Hold on, let me pause him. I thought, well, since I'm listening to this, I might as well share it with my people. You know what I mean? Because they were sharing a lot of information, and a lot of shit that I be telling y'all, they were saying it. So I said, let me share this with my people and let them listen while I'm listening and while I got time. or until somebody called and mess my sound up. But I thought, let me let y'all listen to what I'm listening to, because they were sharing a lot more information, and a lot of things that I be trying to tell y'all. I get sidetracked and get excited and forget what the fuck I'm talking about. But I thought if y'all heard it from somebody else, y'all can get another point of view of the same shit that I be saying.
Friend, our brother, or our friend, our brother, our journalist, who we all have been able to count on for the past 3 decades, Don Lemon. You know, guys, that I'm here with you frequently and often.
But it is also one of the only professions that has no certification. So you are a journalist because you say you are, because you do that work. Don was in the commission of doing that work. Now, they could have their legal discussions, and I'm not a lawyer about the laws that regulate interruptions of church services, but the extraordinary step that is being taken by arresting journalists and putting them in jail.
This your First Amendment right being taken away right in front of y'all eyes. Like, this has never happened. Like, this done happened before in little instances, and we kind of looked over it and shit, you know, or we done seen our journalists get taken into custody in other countries and shit like that. But in America, like a giant this shit just don't happen like this.
Now you have the actual imprisonment.
But you have our own
journalists in America. This is not someone you can argue that they live on the margins of journalism.
Lock him up, and you see the DOJ going against the Constitution and really getting an indictment to lock up a journalist for doing journalistic work. That's your First Amendment right being broken in your face, y'all. People should be paying attention.
But part of the strategy here is that you don't care if you win. The point is to demoralize and deplete.
Yeah.
And what will be interesting to me is to see whether the big journalistic organizations with the giant law firms and legal infrastructures will step in, because they see this as a first step down a very dangerous road.
See?
You have to help to defray this cost that these journalists are about to incur, because it's not just about them.
Well, that's absolutely true. And we saw CNN released a statement earlier, just a little bit ago, Charles. We had Aaron Haynes on from National Association of Black Journalists, calling on every journalistic organization to fall in line and be in support. But I take your comment especially to be important, where someone like Georgia Fort, who was also arrested, all these cars and all these.
Do you have anything else left?
Everything else is on paper, and it's like paper assignments.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I did like all my digital assignments, and I did like some vocab, and vocab takes a long time, but I got like done with one of them. Yeah.
So you don't have nothing missing from online?
No, ma'am.
Okay. See if you can get on that BMV website and take the temp test again. When it start asking questions about me, bring it to me.
Okay.
All right.
But how am I gonna get on it? Yeah, you can't be on a touch screen device. That's why I was wondering if we can go to the BMV, because I talked to an online agent and they said, because it was like, they said, do you have an out-of-state license? And I think that's what I had misclicked. And
that I had an out-of-state license?
That I did. And what's it called? They had asked me, I was like, no, is there any way?
All right, well, let me get finished with this. I got to pick Destiny friend up at 1:30 to take her to work. And then we might have to go tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, we might have to go to work tomorrow.
All right.
Well, thank you for doing them assignments. All right, y'all, let's get back to listening.
Very small. They're not making a lot of money. If they were ever to be attacked in this way, they would have no way of defending themselves. They have no access to legal representation. So what happens in this particular case is so incredibly ominous for Don, and we want to see him free, but it is bigger than Don, because Don becomes a test case. I think how this plays out may become a it portends, something really important for the rest of the country and the rest of journalism, and the way it is trending away from big institutions and into smaller and smaller buckets where people just have something to say, have a passion, get together, raise a little bit of money, enough to get started, get a foothold, and they provide a service for communities that feel like they need it. That is really worrisome to me. I want people to understand that local journalists, who are very often independent journalists, what we call journalistic entrepreneurs, they are the ones who are doing this work because legacy media has dried up in those spaces, and so we need to protect them. And Don and Mrs. Ford become test case for that. How will we protect them? And because all the other local journalists and independent journalists are looking at this and say, if that were me, what would happen?
Yep. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
And Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley should speak out. If Nick Shirley wants to be a journalist so bad.
Thank you so much for joining
us,
Charles. I appreciate you being here. I know you will continue to speak out as you always have. And as you exit, I want to welcome Ben Mysalis. Ben, what a day. You do this nonstop. I know that we all have so much respect for your work and for your commentary. But this could be you, this could be me, this could be Reese, and I'm just wondering what your thoughts are as we sit here as the host of this show. Don Lemon is in a federal detention facility for doing his job.
You know what I mean?
It's deeply personal for me, not just because of what I do every day as an independent journalist, but I know Don very well. He was at my wedding when Don stepped into...
I'm looking at it as a person that's kind of like, I always exercise my freedom of speech in the Mo3 sector, in my real life, when I'm talking to anybody. I always exercise my freedom of speech because I feel like that's my right as an American. And then at the same time, who gonna whoop my ass for real? For saying what the hell my opinion is. So I just feel like to not speak out on something that we all exercise on this very app, the right to speak. They done locked this man up in federal custody on some trumped up charges. Trumped up, literally. So I feel like this one lady said, if you can speak, if you speak, speak. If you write, write. If you sing, sing. But you should be saying something about this, because this is the Constitution. Your First Amendment right being snatched away in front of your face. I don't think this is something that anybody should be sitting back watching like, oh, that's cool. That's that nigga problem. It's not that nigga problem. This could be everybody problem. This is another step in the wrong direction. Oh, they got my boy DL on here. Hold on, let's listen.
It's what's happening, and we need to show solidarity with each other, and to see also the way Georgia Fort's home was invaded there, especially with the history of Minneapolis, where there was the murder over the summer, the political assassination that by one of the kind of MAGA attacker of the politicians out there, dressed in the same way. You have people in DEA outfits. That's not the way something like this would normally happen. The way this would normally go down in a legal sense is, if you're even going to serve a warrant, it's coordinated. You reach out, you figure it out in advance. You don't send masked people like that. So this is about causing fear and terror. That's what they want to inflict, and we got to stand together.
That's absolutely right. DL, obviously, you've been on this show a million times, but you do lots of other things with Don. And personally, you've been speaking out about this issue. Now our brother is in lockup, and we are waiting for his hearing where they will have to argue for his release and his crime, other than being a black man, which they try to make a crime every.
Hold on. They arrested him because you remember that protest that he did with the black woman. Well, he didn't do the protest. He streamed it. Hold on, I'm listening to something in my other ear. But he streamed it. He did his journalistic duty and interviewed the woman that was leading the protest to that church of the field operator of ICE. He was the pastor of that church. Don Lemon went with them and recorded everything and documented it, talked to the pastor of the church. So they said that he supposedly like something. Hold on, let me, because I looked it up earlier. Like, what is his possible charges? Let me see. It says possible charges reported are civil rights conspiracy, interfering with religious worship, and potential violations tied to protest activity. Charges are still being clarified publicly. So they went and arrested him last night at his hotel in Los Angeles. He was in Los Angeles, supposed to be reporting on the Grammys. And so he was at a hotel in LA and they arrested him last night. Yes, girl. Yes. So that's what it was supposed to be. She said, yes, I know. Okay. So, hold on. So, yeah, it's some bullshit. It's really some bullshit because he was actually reporting on what happened. He didn't break no laws. He clearly said over and over again, I wish I was on, well, I can't even fuck with StreamYard right now because even though I upgraded my memory at first, my laptop was running straight and now it's back to doing the same bullshit. So y'all gonna be seeing me do a lot of wild lives, but once I learn how to work this shit where I can play videos for real, then I can show y'all some videos, but I can't show you shit right now. But y'all can go look up him showing the protest that woman did. Okay, let's listen.
Day is doing his job as an independent journalist. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think getting mad at a journalist for reporting a protest is like getting mad at a weatherman for reporting there's a hurricane. I think it's crazy, and I think that, I think a guy named Harry Shannon, I saw his quote that said, "The road to authoritarianism is paved with people saying you're overreacting." Mm-hmm. Everything we're seeing right now, it was foretold. Now, we're not psychic. No one's psychic, but there's not one thing that we are seeing right now, and it's all happened with the American people pretending like they didn't see it.
Right.
Like going to why if the whole pretext for going to Minneapolis was that there was Somali fraud, right?
Right.
What do you need Border Patrol and ICE to deal with fraud?
Right.
They have terrorized that city. It was supposed to be, and the net result is that there have been Americans that are dying. Let alone ICE has killed, I think they shot 17 people, and 10 died. Three in the last 45 days. 3 have been American. If any police department in the world was responsible for that level of violence, there would automatically be an investigation.
Right.
They would. ICE right now is with the death rate, the death toll, the murder rate is going down. It's going down everywhere except ICE. ICE right now is more dangerous than Compton. Like if they keep this up, they're gonna have an episode of First 48. Like it is. But the fact that our view of it is so disjointed because one of the things that brilliantly done is co-opted mainstream media. So when you say mainstream media, they own that too. They own social media. So the only outlet we have is you all. The only outlet we have is you all. And that is why they come after you instead of somebody at the Washington Post or CBS. They know that the only insight these people have, that the country has, that's divergent from the mindset they want you to have, is you all. So, of course, you're going to get arrested.
And DL, you said they talk about Somali fraud. You talk about Somali fraud. Today, the president said he wants to sue the IRS. So there's fraud from the top.
This is what I can't understand. So with no evidence, you said a man is a terrorist. With all kinds of evidence, you won't admit a man as a pedophile. Like literally, you went after Captain Phillips and got Captain America.
Come on,
you went after the Good Samaritan. You went after the bad Somalis and killed the Good Samaritan.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing is so topsy-turvy. And I got to give it, this is what I will say. It takes the kind of resilience that those people are demonstrating in Minnesota. They have put their lives on the line. It's cold. Like, I love black people, but if it's cold, I get y'all freedom when it's spring. Like, if I can't feel my fingers, I can't feel your pain. But you are seeing people who are literally, who understand what is happening right now and what the moment is right now, and who are rising to it. They're not protesting. They're literally fighting authoritarianism as we speak right now.
Thanks.
And I think the reason why.
And also,
what were you gonna say?
I really wanted to.
I was gonna say, in a post Breonna Taylor world. Oh, sorry.
1 second, Jay. I think there may be a delay. I'm not trying to cut you off. I just don't hear you until I start talking. But DL, in this celebrity culture, you have been consistently speaking about things that matter and using your platform and your expansive reach, using your influence and your affluence in order to highlight issues that matter and make statements about them. What is it? And I've seen, in fairness, a lot more people in recent days, because things are so egregious, who have said enough is enough, who are making statements who normally wouldn't. But if you could speak to people who are on the fence about that and in fear for their own following, their own pockets, their own contracts, whatever, and it would matter that they were in solidarity with somebody like Don or with Georgia Ford or with those of us who are out here doing this work, what is it that you would say to them?
There is a inherent level of selfishness that seems to be uniquely American. There's a level of individualism that we've always prided ourselves on. And that, to me, is the greatest asset they have. Like, you'll have people on the right wing asking, why would those people put themselves in harm's way? Why would they do that? They should have stayed at home. That's because that's what you're supposed to do for your neighbor. You know, Jesus protesting in church. Jesus turned over tables in the temple, which made me think he was white, because only a white dude could do that and not go to jail. That's what but I think that there is no side except right or wrong now. Whether you want to stay home and have your life or not, the day is coming, and it's coming more rapidly than I think anybody gave it credit for, where you are going to have to decide, are you going to be Nicki Minaj or are you going to be Don Lemon? Which one? Because there are going to be no choices. Being a brand new Black Trump supporter is like getting hooked on crack right now. Like right now. Like, it would be like, so there's no benefit for you. Like, and have you ever noticed, like, all the Black dudes who are Trump supporters got hit in the head a lot? Have you ever noticed that? Like, I know he won 21% of Black dudes, but he had to win 85% of Black dudes with CTE. Oh. If you got hit in your head a lot, you love this dude. And I think
that dude named Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, you know, he done took a lot of hits to the head, and you know, he was big on Trump. Kodak Black, I don't know what's wrong with Kodak Black, but something wrong with him, man. He look at Lil Wayne. You know, they all look a little. Yeah, you got a point.
Oh, yeah. And it's foolish to believe that you have the influence, the mindset, the wealth, the insulation to stop it from happening. The wolf is going to be at your door too. And the best thing you can hope for is that you have like-minded people with you.
Yeah, Jay. I'm so thankful for comedy, because levity matters. And VP Harris would always talk about being joyful warriors, and you can't lose the joyful part. Just wondering, Jay, if you could give us a couple of tips. I know people, I'm looking in the comments, people's mental is on the line right now. All of us, mine included. So I would like for you to give us a few tips, Jay, about how we can kind of stay in some joy. But before we do that, I think Ben is going to have to exit soon, and I am going to bring somebody else on. So I am going to give Ben some closing comments as soon as I welcome, if they tell me it's okay for me to welcome preeminent journalist, host of the Joy Reid show, someone who knows up close and personal all about what we are dealing with today. Sis, welcome to the show, people. Welcome to the Don Lemon Show. Jay, Ben, say goodbye if you need to say goodbye. Jay, give us some tips.
I'll say goodbye to everyone. I just want to leave everybody with this. I think as independent journalists and independent reporters, it's so important that we all support each other and supporting democracy, and we all lift up each other's platforms. I'm often asked, well, Ben, who's your competitor or who's this? If you're in the pro-democracy space, we all have to be allies with each other, and we have to support each other, and we have to grow this community, bigger. There are more pro-democracy people out there who just want normalcy and love and empathy than the people out there who want to tear us down. And as Trump's approval right now is at like 37% based on the new Pew poll that I just saw, they're getting very, very desperate. So I want people to know a lot of this is coming from desperation and panic. And we just need to stay in there together. It's okay to take some rest and take some self-time and focus on our mentals and focus on all of that. But know that we're in this together. We have to fight. This is a moment for that. And we'll keep doing that every day. And we do, and we'll keep supporting each other here. So thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for the work you do.
Before Ben goes, and I don't mean to jump in, but I didn't want him to leave without me saying that, on this screen are two of the people who were the first people to really give me really great advice on doing independent media. And that is Ben and DL Hewley. And also the third person would be Don. Those three are three people who walked me through, just like, this is what it's like out here. So I just wanted to say thank you. You were one of the people, Ben, who really gave me incredible advice and was so open and very kind as we were all heading out into this brave new world. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate it. I've always been an admirer of yours and everybody here. So thank you.
All right, Ben, take care.
Jay, you got like 2 minutes. Give us a little bit of help. How can we, in the middle of dark times, find some humor somewhere?
I think we have to hold on to hope. To me, hope right now is like an ice agent's penis. It's small, but I believe it's there. I think it's there, and I think we can find it.
Don't mind if I don't hold on to one. Can I not do that one? Let me move on. I'm already on tour with Don. But damn, man, come on. How much it is? How much of this phallic humor do I have to take?
Donald Trump's approval is, you're going to like this one too, DL. Donald Trump's approval is going down faster than a scene on Heated Rivalry. We are not going to have to deal with this. We're not going to have to deal with this alone. Black and brown people have always laughed through this. Whenever me and Don talk about this, DL, you know this. Whenever white people,
people, you can tell he a little. He might be a little. Yeah, he a little soft with a capital T. Wolf. DL was like, I ain't holding on to that.
some funny stuff here, but we do have to continue to be aware, continue to be informed, and continue to point out the hypocrisies. I think that the one thing that we really are kind of like taking for granted is that the American public, I think at least 51% of the American public has enough brain matter to go, that shit ain't right. Well, that ain't right. I can get behind that. Because guess what? If they come for Don Lemon, Joe Rogan, they will come for you when they disagree with you. Right. If they come for Don Lemon, Theo Vaughn, they will come for you. Tim Dillon, they will come for you. Tim Dillon, you already were told shut up multiple times by J.D. Vance. Mm-hmm. So as a comedian who has to stand next to a lot of these comedians who like to pretend to be journalists, and when a real journalist gets arrested, I have to find the humor, but I also have to find the facts. So that's what I want to tell everyone who's aware of this. Once again, free Don till his backers, free the guys. I thank all of y'all for being here. People who I look up to and people who I think have both been helping me from a comedy standpoint and from a staying informed standpoint. Hey, Joy. So I'm just so happy that I even get to say that. I'm so happy for the platform that Don has built and these very supportive people in the comment section.
Amen. To your point, the best thing that happened to me was the Melania movie. That's so good for me. Like, that's the white Pootie Tang, ain't it? I'm so happy.
Because ain't nobody going to that shit.
I think it's the white Pluto Nash.
Okay. Oh my God. It's so.
You might be the only person that ever saw it. Even Trump ain't seen it. Nobody.
Yeah. For people that scared of terrorism, they sure got a bomb on their hand, don't they? Oh my God! I'm getting ready to leave, but I will say this, Joy. We all knew this was not gonna happen. Like even when we talked when they first were, I don't think that people, when I hear people say that they don't pay attention to politics, I know they voted for him and are trying to pretend like they did. No one gets to sit this one out. Now you can pretend like you can, you want to, you can be oblivious, but sooner or later, they're suspending the Constitution. They want there's a reason a civil uprising where it wasn't local police or the National Guard. They sent federal troops to quell a riot. He sent his own stormtroopers. ICE is as funded as many standing armies in the world for a reason. And when we tell you things like that, people think it's hyperbolic. Now, sequentially, the Epstein files. Then you have records taken in Georgia. Then you have a threat to a city where if you give us this, we'll give you that. Now you have journalists being arrested. Right. That's not all of those things are happening in sequence, and they're dizzying to a lot of people. But you don't get to avoid it, and it's the kind of obliviousness and the naivety that the American people have. What group of people with this much wealth choose to be this ignorant?
Right.
We read at the 5th grade level. We choose this. Well, you ain't got to burn books. Nobody reading them anyway. But this is why we're in the situation we're in, because they took out.
What the hell? Why his mouth stuck like that? Why did his mouth get stuck like that, y'all? Hold on. I don't know what happened. But while I figure it out, Melania dropped a movie, y'all. It's supposed to be a documentary about her life. And, like, they had one, like, in Boston, they giving away tickets. Like, they'll pay you $50 to go see the movie. What's she saying? Wait.
Free Tax USA, where federal filing is always free with no games or pricing gimmicks. Because choosing your tax software shouldn't be a guessing game.
But I went to, I was literally dating somebody in his camp, and I went there for free. I've never paid for a Lil Wayne concert or anything of that sort. So, you know, that's just me. But
all right, I'm about to go.
Let me go to, and I dropped, did I drop the link? I think so. Oh yeah, I dropped the link. Let me go to, and I'm.
Did they kick his live? I was about to say, is that why it stopped? Because
they wanted to see scores of Black people in the streets. They didn't see them at No Kings. They didn't see us at No Kings 2, and they sure didn't see us.
Y'all there too.
Oh my God! It's I'm getting ready to leave, but I will say this, Joy, Moni, we all knew this was not gonna happen. Like, even when we talk when they first were, I don't think that people. When I hear people say that they don't pay attention to politics, I know they voted for him and are trying to pretend like they did. No one gets to sit this one out. Now you can pretend like you can, you want to, you can be oblivious, but sooner or later, they're suspending the Constitution. They want there's a reason a civil uprising where it wasn't local police or the National Guard. They sent federal troops to quell a riot. He sent his own stormtroopers. ICE is as funded as many standing armies in the world for a reason. And when we tell you things like that, people think it's hyperbolic. Now, sequentially, the Epstein files. Then you have records taken in Georgia. Then you have a threat to a city where if you give us this, we'll give you that. Now you have journalists being arrested. All of those things are happening in sequence, and they're dizzying to a lot of people. But you don't get to avoid it, and It's the kind of obliviousness and the naivety that the American people have. What group of people with this much wealth choose to be this ignorant?
Right.
We read at the 5th grade level. We choose this. Well, you ain't got to burn books. Nobody reading them anyway. But this is why we're in the situation we're in, because they took our fears and turned them against us. And now we're right here all together.
Amen.
Well, thank you, DL. I know you may have to go.
Yeah, I got it.
So and
get John out before we got a show Tuesday.
Right. I knew you were going to get to that. I knew that at the end of the day, it was going to be that you already marked it off your calendar, and he needs to get to the show, get out of jail and get to the show. So, and we appreciate.
He's the Bobby Brown of journalists. He's going to jail.
King R&B.
I'm not even. I love John, and I know it's gonna be all right. But the tour gonna be lit. Come on out, and we're gonna get him a free Don Lemon T-shirt. Watch him get his tattooed here, right here on his eye.
We got it. Yeah, you need to drop a track. First day out. First day out. Don, the track. First day out.
He signed a rap album. I think T.I. produced this. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope.
I'm gonna do a diss against Nicki Minaj. I cannot wait for his bars.
Pooh Shiesty and Don Lemon.
Thank you, DL. And
all right, take care. Take care. Bye-bye.
Going to the show. One of them's already sold out, so he was selling wolf tickets about that. But if you guys can't tell, I just walked us through a reset for those of you who have been watching for a while. I hope that shook away some of the cobwebs. I hope the laughter helped us to breathe a little better, in through the nose, out through the mouth. But here we are, my sister Joy Ann Reid. We can't say we're surprised.
No.
We can't say we haven't seen it coming.
No.
But I really want to hear from you, your thoughts in this hour. And I know you just finished probably an hour of a show giving your thoughts, but give it to us fresh, because all of us can say, but I know for sure you can say, but for the grace of God, go I.
We just did 3 hours live, talking with attorneys, talking with some of our friends from New Media. Jim Acosta was on as well, Ellie Mastal, Angela Rye, Liz Winstead, a bunch of us got on. And so we did 3 hours, Lev Parnas and others. So what I will accumulate from all that I heard from those guys, including from what Lev Parnas was reporting, and big up to all the Lemonheads who were following us back and forth, because the Lemonheads were in the chat and they were bigging all of y'all up as well. I think they were pinging back and forth listening. But it does appear that a lot of what we're seeing right now is a distraction by the regime to the fact that these 3 million files dropped today. The FBI, following the law, they're required to release the Epstein files. But per Lev Parnas's reporting, they are scrubbing those files to ensure that not just Donald Trump is not reflected in those files, but that none of the predatory men, none of the co-conspirators, the alleged co-conspirators that were in lecherous way doing business with Jeffrey Epstein or receiving service in the grossest way from Jeffrey Epstein are named. So they are redacting and ensuring they protect the men. But they're putting out allegedly 3 million new documents. And so part of...
Now, y'all, they already 40-some days past the deadline of releasing the Epstein files and a statement on why they released the Epstein files redacted in the first place. Now y'all about to release 3 million more files redacted, and we still ain't gonna learn shit out of them motherfuckers.
I think what we're seeing here is a distraction. Lev Parnas also reporting that part of what they're doing in electing not just Don, but also Georgia Fort and 2 other Black journalists is that they are trying to shift the image and the sort of visuals of what they're doing in Minneapolis and the occupation of Minneapolis by Trump's paramilitary forces. They're trying to make that, they're trying to paint it black. Basically, they see a faux insurrection and they're trying to paint it black. Because the problem they've had from Stephen Miller to Kristi Noem to Donald Trump on down is that right now the face of resistance to what they are trying to do in terms of deporting, kidnapping, harassing, and harming Black and brown immigrants, the face has been white women.
The face has been white women. And it has been white women and white men who have been going out there and using their privilege to confront police. Black folks have largely stayed out of it, have stayed out of the street.
See? And then they came with that. See, shout out to Mouthpiece. I'm so grateful for Mouthpiece for coming and speaking on Paul Birdsong, because he opened my eyes to the possibility of who Paul Birdsong is and the possibility of who he could be. Shout out to Holistic too, because they both was like, nah, sister, pay attention, because he could be the one trying to draw us out. Now, remember, I was telling y'all, they want us out there. Don't go out there in them streets. Don't go out there in them streets. They want us out there. Once we get out there, it's some shit. Paul Birdsong came with the Black Panther movement, right? And I told y'all, I'm peeping the scenery out. Now, I fuck with the movement of the Panthers back in the day. And if he said he had people that was, but once they really came together and was like, nah, we don't support him. And then we see he got SA charges against his own daughter. I read that shit for myself. Nigga, it's a wrap for you. So it kind of, that momentum kind of died down, and we ain't going for that. We ain't going for the new Black Lions. No. We not going for that. So now y'all starting to arrest Black journalists. Don Lemons, that's my guy. So when that's what I thought too. Like, that's a Black man. He ain't do shit wrong. That shit kind of made me mad. Hold on.
We know how people felt after the election. And because Black folks have really refused to go out there, they didn't have a Black Lives Matter movement moment. And that's what they wanted. They wanted to see scores of Black people in the streets. They didn't see them at No Kings. They didn't see us at No Kings 2. And they sure didn't see us in Minneapolis, where, it's a very tiny Black community. And a lot of them are immigrant Black folks who are being targeted. So they didn't get what they wanted in Minneapolis, despite it being where the George Floyd situation happened. So in their disappointment, they're lashing out, including at white people who are monitoring them. So the escalation begins with harassing, arresting, and brutalizing white people who are with their phones chronicling them. So we're watching you, we're following you, you get brutalized, and then they escalate that to killing them. Then their next escalation, first they killed the Watcher, which is Lerne Good. Then they murdered the chronicler, which was Alex Preddy with his phone. The next escalation is to arrest the journalists whose job is to chronicle it, and who were in that Minneapolis church, which is related to Doug Wilson's Christ Church. Doug Wilson is one of the leading members, the leaders of the white Christian nationalist movement in this country. Wow. His spinoff church is Pete Hegseth's church, where Pete Hegseth at least has attended in DC. We don't know if it's his actual church, but he has attended that church. So that church is related to Doug Wilson's churches. It was founded by the guy who wrote the book, The Sin of Empathy. He founded that church. And he no longer lives in Minneapolis. But when those protesters went into that church, they went into the hornet's nest of white Christian nationalism. Wow. And that is the reason that online MAGA followers, MAGA white Christian nationalists have been going crazy, demanding the arrest of Don Lemon, demanding Don Lemon's head. And they have one really important member of their audience, and that's Harmeet Dillon, who is a big ally of this crowd. And she's now the head of the, quote, Civil Rights Division of the Injustice Department. So Pam Bondi reportedly signed off on this arrest herself. Yeah, Donald Trump hates Don Lemon, as we all know. And so that whole cabal, they wanted a high profile and, very importantly, a Black arrest. Georgia Fort, also an African-American, excellent reporter who's been...
Attorney Pam Bondi this morning wrote, at my discretion, early this morning, federal agents arrested Don Lemon, Tareen Jean Cruz, Georgia Fort, and Jamel Liddell. Those are the other Black journalists. It was Don Lemon, Tareen Cruz. I can't say the name, y'all. Georgia Fort, and Jamel Liddell Landuti, in connection with a coordinated attack on city churches in St. Paul, Minnesota. Details coming soon. She wrote that at 9:09 this morning.
on the ground, taken out of her home in front of her while her kids were crying, arrested as well, and 2 other Black journalists. So that's where we're at. This is a full-on assault on democracy, on the First Amendment. And they're doing it in part to send a message to the rest of us to be afraid, be very afraid. Don't follow us, don't cover us, don't resist us. And also to try to get Black people aroused to what they can then call an insurrection so that they can do the Insurrection Act.
And really, it has nothing to do with wanting to get big time criminal committing immigrants off the streets. I mean, we've watched 2 prior administrations be actually quite prolific at immigration enforcement.
Obama and Joe Biden. This is facts, y'all. I keep telling y'all. Obama and Joe Biden deported more immigrants than Donald Trump has today in both of his terms. Obama and Biden have deported more immigrants than Donald Trump. You ready? Okay, here I come. I'm finna end this right now. I'm finna have to go, y'all. I gotta take my baby to work. But they did that. But it's a way that you go about doing things. And they actually got criminals out of here. The way Donald Trump is going about doing this is that people who have actually entered the country legally, who have asylum applications in the courts, who are going by due process, are getting caught in the streets by immigration officers, stopped at stoplights, gas stations, Walmart, and they are asking them for their green card. If you cannot produce a green card, they are detaining you and putting you in a detention center. That's what they are doing. Border Patrol usually protects the border. They're not in your communities tackling people, macing people, and doing. That's not what their job normally is. But per this administration, that's the type of shit that's going on. And everybody should be mad about it. Y'all think, yeah, Toya, you got a personal reason. But I've been talking like this before I had a personal reason. Before any of this shit. I always been speaking up for what's right and what's wrong. And this shit is flat out wrong. No matter how you try to make it right, it's wrong in a bitch. If y'all want to finish listening to what I was listening to, I gotta go back and listen to some shit that Joy Reid said and break it down. And I gotta go take my daughter to work. But if y'all want to continue listening to that, that's Don Lemon's channel. You just type in Don Lemon, click his name. Don, y'all know how to spell Don. D-O-N, Lemon, Lemon. Go over there, y'all can finish watching that. Put some fat on your brain. You know, you ain't gotta just listen to me say it. That's why I wanted y'all to hear somebody else say it, because I be saying the same damn thing for real. You know, a lot of the shit I see something on Instagram and I go to the internet, I go to my AI, I go to different things to research shit, and then I bring it to y'all. And this morning, this Don Lemon shit kind of caught me off guard, so I'm trying to bring y'all the shit that I got, but I'm like in my head, like, they really arrested Don Lemon. Like, hold on, this shit is important. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm gonna be careful at all times, you know, but this shit just really wild and untamed, man. It's sad to see, you know, the country go down like that. You know, the little piece of freedom that we did have, he just really like fucking it up. And we're really going against the Constitution in real time. We watching this shit. Project 2025. I need to check the numbers. I'm gonna come back. I might come back later when I'm on my way to work. I might come back later because this shit is just mind-boggling to me. It's just, I can't believe it for real. This is like some you know, like that emoji with the motherfucking head exploding. Like, this is some head exploding shit. Like, they really arrested this man. And like Joy Reid said, it could be a play to get us out there. Anything to... Man, y'all, let me go because I start thinking and just keep going and keep going and keep going until I figure it out. All right. Y'all